Hello and welcome to a new episode of the CTO Show with Mehmet. My name is Mehmet, and in each episode, I discuss different topics from emerging technologies, digital transformation, cybersecurity, and at the same time, we discuss also business topics related to technology as well. And as you know by now, sometimes on my show, I have thought leaders and experts who would share from their perspective about both technology and business. And today, I'm very pleased to be joining me in a late time for him from Vancouver, Canada. Manuj, he's a subject matter expert. He's actually have a long experience working with different technologies. He also worked for Microsoft, IBM, and different other places as well. But I would leave it to Manuj to introduce himself. Manuj, just can you a little bit tell us more about your experience, and like how what are you up to?
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here. My name is Manuj Aggrawal. I've been in the technology space for about 30 years, and I have worked with hundreds of startups, helping them go from idea to market. Worked with Microsoft, IBM, Pearson Education. I have 4 patents in artificial intelligence. I have authored 2 books on technology. Some of the work that I have done, it has been actually recognized by President Obama and Bill Gates. Um, my background has been quite diverse, delving into various technologies, various industries, healthcare, education, logistics, real estate. So technology is just fun. I'm sure you will agree with that.
Yes.
Those of you us enjoy solving tough problems using technology. It's like a hobby, it's like fun, so that's what I'm all about.
Yeah, actually, Manoj, you have a very, I would say, rich like experience, but always myself, I'm curious to know because I'm in technology as well, so I'm always curious to know what was the turning point, in your life that motivated you to pursue this passion for computers and programming.
So my story is that I grew up in India, and my career started at 15, working in a factory for $2 a day.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, I wanted to do something more with my life. And one day I was sitting at lunch hour in the factory, flipping through some business magazines and learning about the stories of these successful tycoons. I got some inspiration, and at that time I didn't realize it, but of course later on I realized that something had shifted in me. And at that point, computers were very new, and through some fluke of luck, I found myself enrolled into a computer programming course. And I was an extreme introvert at that time, and I'm still an introvert, but at that time I could not communicate well with others. And when I experienced programming, I was like, this is the best thing ever, because these machines don't talk back, and they obey what you ask them to do. So that's when I really found my passion for programming computers, and I thought to myself, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
That's really, really cool. And it resonated a lot with me because, uh, I was too much introvert, and then I took the courage and I said, no, I can talk to the world, I can show what I'm doing. And this is great what you have done. Because
Yeah.
I'm interested, like you said, you were working at the factory, right? And I'm sure it was like kind of challenging times, but how this help you later on in your career, that
That's
experience?
a very good question, because yeah, every experience we go through, when we are going through it, sometimes it's tough, sometimes it's painful, but you learn a lot, if you're willing to learn from it. So in the factory, as you know, any factory, you have to make one thing multiple times, like thousands of times, right? And you are dependent upon everything working smoothly. Otherwise, even if one component, one machine fails, the whole process
Yeah.
stops. So what I learned from that was reliability of the whole system, as well as scalability of the system. So if you cannot scale the system, there's not going to be like a big business that can be built upon that. And if you try to build a big business, you have to make sure every component is reliable and they work together in sync as a system.
Yeah, that's really insightful. And as you said, anything is an experience by itself. Manuj, you work for the biggest names in technology like Microsoft, IBM, and others. But what is, some of the memorable projects that, like you think they have impacted the lives of millions of
Yeah.
people?
So, I have worked in healthcare where we built some systems for the province of British Columbia. So, British Columbia is a state, if you will, a province here in Canada, and it has 5 million residents. So, we built the very first digital healthcare system for the province of Canada, where the health records of all the citizens were digitized.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be paper based, so that was quite impactful. Then we did another project that was for education field. Lot of this is a typical problem in North America, and I'm sure it is the same problem elsewhere in the world, where 30% of the students in higher education institutions, meaning bachelor's degree, master's degree, they drop out of their degree program in the first year. and
Yeah.
the reason is and the reason is because when they enroll, they don't know what they are getting into, and they find out this is not interesting, this is too difficult, whatever it is. So we used AI to gather the data from hundreds of thousands of students' records and created a model to understand what courses will suit what students. So as they tried to enroll, we recommended the right courses to them, and the result was they were able to finish their degree programs. And so this platform was actually recognized by Obama and Bill Gates. So that was quite a exciting project.
Yeah, this is really where I see, the value of technology of, impacting people. This is really big. Now, you mentioned AI, and you have like 4 patents in AI, Manoj, yourself, and as a thought leader in this domain. What do you think are the most significant breakthroughs over the past couple of years?
Well, I mean, everybody is talking about Chat GPT, so that has to be mentioned here, and I think it is a game changer because even as AI expert and many other experts, we used to think that things like this, like Chat GPT, are like decades away. We used to think, I mean, Chat GPT almost has given us a glimpse of what general artificial intelligence will look like, because if in the audience, if you're new to AI, there is a concept called general artificial intelligence, which is basically what we see in the science fiction movies, where the artificial intelligence is so smart that it can do anything that a human can do, and obviously it can do better. And then there is a point of singularity where AI becomes more smarter than human beings. So we used to think like this is decades away, this is not going to happen anytime soon. But with these platforms like ChatGPT, now we can see it is maybe like 2 years away, maybe 5 years away. And that's very, very exciting, and it's very surprising. At the same time, some people are actually worried, scared as well. So it's a lot of mixed emotions, but
Yeah.
that's what happens when a groundbreaking technology is introduced.
Are we going to reach singularity really, Manoj? Do you
I
think?
think so. I think so. I think so. Yeah.
But let me also add to this question because I knew that you're gonna answer this way.
Yeah.
Should really people show the wariness that they are showing, or they should think about it in a different way?
See, every new technology that comes out, humans have a tendency to fear the unknown.
Yeah.
So we are always afraid of the unknown. Secondly, we don't like change, and these technologies are going to change our society in radical ways. So, it is estimated that over the next 10 years, for example, all the driving jobs will be eliminated. And there are hundreds of millions of people whose jobs are related to driving all day, right? Because when self-driving cars and vehicles, they become the norm, there's not going to be any driving jobs. Even the white collar jobs, analysis jobs with chat gpt are in danger. Now, that is not to for me to scare everybody that what's going to happen with my job. The idea is that new types of jobs will
Mm-hmm.
be available. So it's not like you will lose your job to AI, but most likely, if you don't adapt, if you don't upskill, you will lose your job to a person who knows AI. right? So it's a very same way, like when before the cars were invented, the whole industry was horse cart industry, and everybody was worried what will happen to the horse carts, all the people who are taking care of the horses, cleaning the roads, what's going to happen to those. But as they upskilled, they found new jobs, they found better jobs, and things prospered. So this is what happens every time new technology is introduced. And I don't think there's anything to worry about. In fact, we should be excited, we should embrace it, we should understand it, we should say, hey, how do we use it, how do we become more productive, and things of that nature, right?
Actually, I was about to give the same example
Uh-huh.
because usually when I am having like discussions, I'm telling the same thing. Like, I'm challenging people to, write down 10 things that existed not 100 years, 50 years back, and they don't exist anymore today. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
postman, right? So
yeah, yeah, yeah,
like postman, horses, and many, many others. So really, it's
yeah.
the thing. And I have, and I want you also your opinion. I have a theory that technology and AI is one of these technologies that is helping us to reach something, a point where really the life should be more easy to us, like where maybe the machines are doing the hard things and we are doing more the soft things, enjoying the life.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
Exactly, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So if you look at society before the steam engine was invented, most people used to spend all day just trying to make a living. All day in the fields and in the factories. Manual labor was life was very very tough for 99.99% of the population. But with technology, machines took over. The weekend became a thing. We have 2 days off, and we were able to produce more uh, for the entire society and work less. And now it's the same trend continuing. We are working less. I mean human evolution has brought us to a point where we don't need to work as much. We have invented technology to make our lives easier. So that is the trend we are following, and that's what's going to continue to happen, right?
Yeah, that's 100% correct. One thing, if I can jump a little bit on the topic, when I was, preparing for the today's episode, I've seen that you have mentioned that you can break down complex topics. So even a 10 years old child can understand it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, 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 yeah.
So how do you do this? Because sometimes I have, challenges, I would call them, explaining, for example, something very simple as AI. So
Yeah, yeah.
how you can, for example, you know, dissect this for AI, let's say.
Okay, so let's say AI is basically what it is our minds are pattern recognizing machines. So we recognize patterns easily in our mind. So I'll give you an example. Let's say a child, 5-year-old child, touches a hot stove, and for the first time, and then it's painful, and he will realize, oh, okay, I don't want to touch this stove again. So that is one data point. It goes into your mind, and the mind recognizes the pattern. But now imagine that child is outside in somewhere very cold, Antarctica. It's a there's a very cold wind blowing. He's wearing some protective heat resistant gloves. Now there are multiple factors in this equation, and now he touches the stove. It doesn't feel painful. In fact, it feels a little bit pleasant because it's warm and he's getting warmth now. So now the child will automatically learn, you know what, if there are certain conditions, it is okay to touch the stove, right? So now there are two patterns has been recognized by our mind. But now, if you extrapolate this situation to thousands of parameters or variables, so let's say we want to predict the weather in the next 14 days, which depends upon thousands of complex parameters. Or let's say we want to invent a medicine, for example, COVID vaccine. It depends on thousands and thousands of sort of permutations of molecules and whatnot. Our mind is not capable of learning these type of patterns. Our mind can maybe handle 3 or 4 patterns, variables, sorry, 3 or 4 variables, 10 variables, maybe if you're super smart. But then as we go beyond that, complexity becomes so big that we have to rely on machines, and machines are very very good at collecting millions and millions of data points, millions of variables, and then finding minute patterns to say, okay, this is what is happening, this is why it happened. If you want to predict the what will happen in the future given these parameters, the machine can tell us, right? So that basically is what AI is.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
make completely sense. And this is
Mm,
the reason I ask you this question again, to
mm.
remove the fear, because I always
Yeah, yeah,
tell people, look, like AI is something that humans came up with, right?
yeah,
And it needs a prompt from us still. Like
yeah,
AI, it's not like acting by itself. It needs to take
yeah,
order from someone, right? So
yeah,
this is why I ask.
exactly.
This is why I ask you this question. Now,
Mm,
Manuj, also one thing I know about, one of the achievements that you have done. Like you
mm,
spoke to in the UN, right? So how was that?
mm. That was amazing experience. Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
good.
So I spoke about AI, and the idea was to share thoughts about how AI can be used to eliminate poverty and bring about equality. And that's the fundamental. I think, in my opinion, that is the fundamental premise of AI, where uh, it will uh, uh, it will bring about equal opportunities for everyone, and it will help people even with the any drawbacks they have from their background, financial background, economic background, social background. It will help empower everyone equally and bring about that equality. Moreover, as these machines, automated processes take over, um, the human element will become more important, like the creativity, emotional
Mm-hmm.
intelligence, empathy. These things will become more important. So um, that is innate in every human being, right?
Yeah.
So if we start to cultivate that more, we start to connect with humans more, that will bring about a society where more or less everybody is equal.
Yeah. One more thing, and it will be, I promise, last question about AI, because I have more
Uh,
two questions.
uh,
I've seen also you, in your work, you put some kind of relationship between meditation and AI. Can you tell
yeah, yeah,
us
yeah,
more about
yeah,
that?
yeah. Of course. So the thing is, as we were saying earlier, our mind is able to recognize patterns, and what AI is an extension of our mind, because whatever it produces, our mind starts to learn it back. We start to see even though we cannot recognize, okay, because of these parameters this is happening, but once we see the result, our mind is able to capture it. So a good example is Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. These are basically AI algorithms, and they control the information flow in today's world. So when they control the information flow, they tell us what they think is relevant to us. And now our mind starts to learn that, and our mind starts to take the shape and start to think, oh, this is the truth, this is how the world is. But if we compare my feed to your feed on this social media platform, it will be totally different. So that way, our mind is interacting and vice versa with AI. Now, coming to meditation, meditation is basically seeing inside our own mind, learning about ourselves, uh, looking into our subconscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
So, if we learn about ourselves, um, then we become more informed. We can achieve higher level of success. So just like Facebook is informing us about the world, AI algorithms can help us, inform us about our own inner world, about our subconscious mind. So that is the link between meditation and AI. Does that make
That's
sense?
completely, and it's something I never thought about, and it's a very, it's a provoking idea to. And I was thinking while you were explaining it, I was thinking, yeah, because actually, sometimes when I'm typing, let's say to ChatGPT, maybe I'm using my subconscious mind, right?
Exactly,
And
exactly.
then after a while, maybe the model itself can analyze my subconscious mind, which is we do sometimes
Yeah,
on meditation.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, that's
yeah,
very, very, very insightful, I would say. Manuj,
yeah.
also I know you are an entrepreneur, and like now you do some mentoring as well. So because I try to cover every time in one question or two, like what usually you see the most common obstacle that aspiring entrepreneurs face and how they can overcome them. What advice you give?
The most obstacles are within ourselves. Every obstacle that generally we feel is ourselves. It's like anxiety about the future. What will happen if this happens? All these fears that we make up in our minds. That's number one. Second is the desire to do everything, meaning they don't want to delegate anything. They think, oh, if I delegate it to somebody else, they're not going to do it as well as I do. So they try to do everything themselves. The third thing is they don't do market research. So they come up with the idea. They say, oh, this idea, I really like this idea. This is how I will use it. And then they find out nobody else agrees with that. Nobody else is willing to pay for that idea. So it's better to do the market research, and then if people want to pay for it, then build the idea. And then lastly, what I think is this, many people may disagree with me, but I feel like in the entrepreneurial community, particularly in the technology startups, too many people try to raise money too quickly.
Hmm.
So until you have a good solid business, I believe you should not raise money, and you should really focus on getting your first few clients, first few customers, and then if you need to expand, you can go ahead and raise money.
And do you think they do this on purpose, or like it's because this is what other people have done and have succeeded? Why do you think they do
Yeah.
it?
It is. I think it's generally just looking at other people. Even in media, you will see news. Oh, congratulations! This startup raised $10 million. This startup raised $12 million. But nobody ever talks about, oh, this company made 100,000 in revenue, right?
Yeah.
Nobody. There is no news which talks about revenue. They only talk about raising money. So people start to think, oh, business is about raising money. It's not about revenue. So that is the impact. That is the effect of how, as we were saying earlier, whatever we consume, information we consume, we think that is the truth. So there you have it.
Yeah, and this is, actually, it was my final question. Like, um, do you think, like, young entrepreneurs specifically, or at any age, because I can be we are entrepreneurs also as well. Like, but do you think we should follow it's known as the bootstrapping model? Like, try to grow the business. I mean, your startup with whatever resources you have, and have an aim later once it's ready to scale it, then you might raise it. Do you think this is the right approach to do it?
Absolutely. 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 Because I mean, here is the thing, there are certain types of businesses where you need massive capital. Let's say, you're building a Tesla, like, you're building electric car company. That's a massive, massive investment, right? So, there you may need investors initially, but generally 98% of the businesses, you don't need that much to start with. I mean, business is about solving other people's problems, and you can do that by sharing your ideas, talking to people, and just say, hey, this is a problem, how about I solve it? And they'll say, how are you going to solve it? Okay, these are my ideas, this is how I can solve it. Do you think this will help you? Yes, it will help me, and that's your business, right? So in my opinion, if you read history, that's how businesses have been developed for centuries and centuries. It is only in the recent years that this term venture capital has come up, this term, raising money has come up. Before that, you used to like borrow money, sell some of your stuff, and have enough to like start a business. And when you have enough, you continue to reinvest, you grow, and that's how it used to be, right? So in my opinion, that is the true definition of a business.
uh, I have to be biased and agree with you here, because
Yeah.
um, I feel sorry sometimes, for companies that come up and, they run out of money that they have borrowed from someone else, and then they have to lay off people. So this is why
Yeah.
why I'm on this side. Any final things you want to share with us, Manoj, before we close?
Well, the only thing I will say is, technology is here to help people. There is nothing to be scared of technology. People who embrace technology, especially at this age right now, it's a very, very exciting age, because never before in a human history, so many groundbreaking technologies have come together. at the same time, like, cloud technology, mobile technology, AI, blockchain, CRISPR. There are so many things coming together, and these are all like, have potential to change the way we live. And so embracing this technology will help people progress much further, much higher, much faster. So that's my message to everyone, to embrace the technology and use it for good.
Well, thank you very much, Manoj, for being with me today and for your time. For my audience, thank you for watching and tuning in. If you are seeing this now on YouTube, if you are listening on your favorite podcast platforms, also thank you. Don't forget to subscribe either to the YouTube channel or to the show on your favorite podcasting platform. If you have any question, any comment about this episode or about the show in general, please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly, either by email or LinkedIn or Twitter. I would be more than happy to discuss this. If you are interested yourself, you have brilliant ideas you want to share with others, I would be more than happy also to host you here on the show. That would be my pleasure. And until we meet in the next time, see you soon, and thank you for tuning in.